You are buried under 3 heavy blankets, and you are still freezing. The thermometer in your mouth reads 39 degrees Celsius. Your skin is hot to the touch. By every logical measure, your body is on fire, yet your teeth are chattering like you just fell into a frozen lake. That contradiction feels like a terrifying software malfunction. It isn't. Congratulations! Your body just did the biological equivalent of turning the entire building into a furnace to smoke out one intruder. And it did it on purpose. Here is the number that reframes everything. In a landmark set of experiments, physiologist Matthew Kluger found that when infected animals were allowed to run a fever, they survived at dramatically higher rates than the ones kept cool. Fever was never the damage. Fever was the defense. So let us talk about what is actually happening while you lie there, feeling completely betrayed by your own flesh. Deep in the base of your brain sits a tiny cluster of cells called the hypothalamus. Think of it as the thermostat on your living room wall, except this one is wired directly into your bloodstream. For your entire life, it has quietly held you at around 37 degrees. You never noticed, because it never failed. It is the most reliable appliance you own. Then a virus shows up. Your immune cells spot the intruder and start screaming chemical alarms called pyrogens. That word literally means fever maker in Greek, which is refreshingly honest for modern medicine. These alarms travel straight to the brain and trigger a molecule called prostaglandin E2. And this molecule does one specific thing. It walks right over to your internal thermostat and drags the dial up. Now here is the part nobody explains to you. Your thermostat is no longer set to 37. It is set to 39. But your physical body is still sitting at 37. So as far as your brain is concerned, you are dangerously, unacceptably cold. That is why you shiver. That is why you frantically pile on blankets. You are not fighting the fever. You are your body's unpaid heating crew, working overtime to reach the new target temperature your brain just demanded. The shivering isn't a symptom. It is the strategy. Muscle contractions generate heat, and your brain has just ordered every muscle you own to start burning fuel to climb those last 2 degrees. Feel a little used? You should. Your organs are being personified as a very stressed HVAC team, and you didn't even get a vote. So, why go through all this agony? Why would millions of years of evolution build a system that deliberately cooks you from the inside? Because the invaders hate heat even more than you do. Many bacteria and viruses are exquisitely tuned to replicate at exactly 37 degrees. Nudge that up a couple of degrees, and their replication machinery starts to stumble. But that is only half the story. And honestly, the smaller half. The real magic is what heat does to you. In a comprehensive review published in Nature Reviews Immunology, immunologists Sharon and Elizabeth Repasky laid out how fever-range temperatures act like a shot of espresso for your immune system. Your white blood cells move faster. They stick to blood vessel walls more efficiently, which lets them exit the bloodstream exactly where the infection is hiding. The whole search and destroy operation speeds up the moment your temperature rises. Picture it as a security guard. At 37 degrees, he is doing lazy laps around the building. At 39, he is sprinting, checking every door, and radioing for backup. Same guard, better performance, all because someone turned up the heat. There is more. Heat also sharpens the memory of your immune system. The cells that learn to recognize a specific invader work far better in warmer conditions. Evans and Repasky traced this down to the machinery inside the cells themselves. In other words, fever doesn't just win today's battle faster, it helps you build the defenses that keep you from ever fighting this exact enemy again. Did your last fever quietly hand you a lifetime of immunity that you never bothered to thank it for? So the fever isn't the war. The fever is the general shouting, "Attack!" and every soldier suddenly moving twice as fast. Now for the twist that ruins your relationship with your medicine cabinet. For most of human history, we have treated fever as the enemy. You feel a rise in temperature, you reach for something to knock it down, and you feel a flicker of victory when the number drops. But if fever is a weapon, what exactly are you disarming? This isn't a fringe question. In 2015, a major clinical study known as the HEAT trial, led by researcher Paul Young and published in the New England Journal of Medicine, tested it directly. They took critically ill patients with infections and split them into 2 groups. One group had their fevers aggressively lowered with medication. The other group was mostly left alone to run hot. The researchers expected the cooled group to do better. They didn't. Cooling the fever provided no survival benefit at all. Let that land for a second. In one of the most controlled clinical tests we have, suppressing fever in infected patients didn't save lives. The body, it turns out, may have known what it was doing all along. Now, this is where honesty matters more than a good story. Very high fevers, fevers in newborns, and fevers with severe symptoms absolutely need real medical attention. Harvard Health is blunt about this, and so am I. A fever is information, not always instruction. If you feel awful, there is nothing heroic about suffering, and medicine that makes you comfortable enough to rest is doing real good. This is not a lecture telling you to tough it out, but it does mean the story you were told is completely upside down. The heat was never the disease. The heat was the response to the disease. Which brings us to the part you are going to recognize in yourself. Think about how you treat discomfort. Not just fever, but all of it. The moment something feels bad, your instant instinct is to make the feeling stop as fast as possible. Tired? Caffeine. Anxious? Distraction. Sore? Painkiller. Bored? A screen. Immediately. Modern life has trained you to see every unpleasant biological sensation as an error message to be silenced. But your body doesn't generate discomfort to annoy you. It generates discomfort as data. The shiver, the ache, the exhaustion that pins you to the bed for 2 days. That is not the sickness winning. That is your biological system pulling you off your feet so it can pour every single calorie you have into the fight. The fatigue is a strategy too. Your body is rationing energy, shutting down the non-essential departments so the immune system gets the entire budget. Lying uselessly on the couch, feeling pathetic, is, biologically, one of the smartest things you will do all year. So the next time your forehead is burning and your brain is begging you to make it stop, remember what is actually happening inside you. Your internal thermostat has been deliberately turned up. Your muscles are working overtime to hit the target. Your immune cells are sprinting through vessels that a few hours ago they only strolled. There is an entire coordinated military campaign running inside you, and it started without asking your permission, because it has done this successfully your entire life. You are buried under 3 heavy blankets, and you are still freezing. But now you know why. That freezing isn't your body breaking down. It is your body running one of the oldest and most effective biological defenses on Earth, and it has never been more in control.